Wednesday started like every other day. I woke up early, made toast with butter, and fed my cat, Whiskers. The morning sun came through the kitchen window. I decided to check how much money I had saved up. I opened the app on my phone, the one that shows all my money. My finger moved across the screen. Then I stopped. My heart started beating fast. The numbers were wrong. Everything was gone. Not some of it. All of it. Every single dollar I had been saving for years had disappeared. I blinked hard and looked again. Maybe the phone was broken. I turned it off, then turned it back on. The same empty numbers looked back at me. I sat down at the table because my legs felt weak. The toast got cold on my plate. I knew only one person could have done this. My daughter, Sarah. She was the only one who knew my passwords. The only one I had trusted with everything. My hands started shaking, but not because I was scared. I was angry. Really, really angry. Sarah had made a choice, and that choice was not me. I thought about all the times I had helped her. When she fell off her bike and hurt her knee, I was there. When boys were mean to her at school, I listened. When she needed help paying for her apartment, I gave her money without asking questions. We were supposed to be close. We were supposed to take care of each other. But something had changed. Few months ago she met Marcus. He had tattoos on his neck and drove a loud car. He smiled a lot, but his eyes were cold. Sarah started acting different after she met him. She stopped visiting me. She stopped calling. When I asked her to come for dinner, she always said she was busy. The last time I saw Sarah was 3 weeks ago. She came to my house but only stayed for 10 minutes. She kept looking at her phone like she was waiting for someone important. When she hugged me goodbye, it felt fake. Like she was just being polite. Now, looking at my empty bank account, I understood everything. She had already decided to leave me behind. She just hadn't told me yet. I picked up my phone again and stared at Sarah's name in my contacts. I could call her right now. I could cry and beg her to explain. But I didn't. Something inside me felt different. I wasn't going to be weak. I wasn't going to let them think I was just some old lady who couldn't do anything. Car drove past my house outside. A bird sang in the tree by my window. Life kept going like nothing had happened. But everything had changed for me. I told myself to be smart. I needed to think carefully before doing anything. It would have been easier if a stranger had stolen my money. I could call the police and they would help. But this was my own daughter. My own child. And she didn't do it alone. Marcus was behind this. I knew it. I could picture them together, sitting in his car, counting my money and laughing. Marcus probably told her it would be easy. That I would never find out. That old people don't pay attention to these things. The hurt came in waves. First I couldn't believe it. Then I felt ashamed. Had I been a bad mother? Had I done something wrong? Well, I'd done everything right. I had worked 2 jobs to give Sarah a good life. I had taught her right from wrong. I had always been there when she needed me. But I had also taught her that I would always forgive her. That no matter what she did, I would help her. Maybe that was my mistake. I reached for my phone again. My finger hung over Sarah's name. I wanted to hear her voice. I wanted her to tell me this was all a big mistake. But I stopped myself. If I called her now, she would hear how upset I was. She would make excuses. She would blame someone else. She would make me feel like I was the problem. I had seen this before with other people. When Sarah was in high school, she broke my favorite vase-playing ball in the house. She said it was an accident, but I found out later she had been fighting with her friend and threw the ball on purpose. When I asked her about it, she cried and said I was being mean. I ended up apologizing to her. That's what she did. She made people feel bad for being upset with her. I wasn't going to let that happen again. I set my phone down on the table hard. Made a loud sound. I had made my decision. I wasn't going to confront Sarah. Not yet. First, I needed to find out exactly what she had done. I needed proof. Real proof that nobody could argue with. Then I would decide what to do next. I thought about all the times people had treated me like I was stupid. The man at the car shop who tried to charge me extra because he thought I didn't understand cars. The lady at the store who talked to me like I was a child. The neighbor who borrowed my ladder and never gave it back, thinking I wouldn't remember. They all made the same mistake. They thought being quiet meant being weak. They were all wrong. And Sarah was about to learn the same lesson. The more I sat there, the more I started remembering things from the past few weeks. Little things that didn't make sense before but made perfect sense now. Sarah had been avoiding me. Every time I invited her to visit, she had an excuse. She said she had to work late. She said she had a headache. She said her car wasn't working. But then I saw pictures on her Facebook page of her and Marcus eating at fancy restaurants. The kind of restaurants that cost a lot of money. Marcus had new things too. Last month when I saw him, he had a new motorcycle. It was shiny and black and looked expensive. I had asked him where he got it. He just smiled and said he got a good deal from a friend. Now I wondered whose money paid for that motorcycle. Was it mine? About a month ago, I went to Sarah's apartment without calling first. I had made her favorite soup and wanted to surprise her. When I got to her door, I could hear voices inside before I knocked. They were talking fast and quiet, like they didn't want anyone to hear. I heard Marcus say something about moving soon and making it big. I knocked on the door. Sarah opened it and looked surprised to see me. Not happy surprised. Worried surprised. She took the soup and thanked me but didn't invite me inside. She said she was busy and would call me later. She never did. At the time, I thought maybe they were planning to move to a new apartment together. I tried not to be hurt that she hadn't told me. But now I understood. They weren't talking about moving to a new apartment. They were planning to steal my money and leave town. I got up from the table and walked to my desk in the living room. I pulled out a notebook and opened it to a clean page. At the top I wrote Sarah's name. Then I started writing down everything I could remember. The dates when she canceled plans with me. The excuses she gave. The new expensive things Marcus had. The strange conversation I heard through her door. As I wrote, the list got longer and longer. And the knot in my stomach got tighter. I remembered something else. 2 weeks ago Sarah called me. She asked if I could help her pay a bill. She said her phone bill was late and they were going to shut off her phone. I offered to send her money. But she said no very quickly. She said she had already taken care of it. I thought it was strange at the time. Sarah never said no to money. Now I understood. She didn't need me to send her money because she already had my money. She had taken it herself. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was still morning. Too early to call the bank and sound calm. I needed to wait. I needed to be smart about this. So I opened my computer instead and went to Facebook. I searched for Sarah's page. It was gone. Completely deleted. I tried Marcus's page. Also gone. But people always forget something when they try to disappear. I looked at the pages of Sarah's friends. One of them, a girl named Emma, had posted pictures from a party last weekend. I clicked on the photo and made it bigger. There in the back behind some other people was Sarah. She was wearing the silver bracelet I had given her for her birthday 3 years ago. The one she told me she lost last summer. She had lied about that too. How many other things had she lied about? I closed the computer and leaned back in my chair. The bracelet was just one small thing. But it told me everything I needed to know. Sarah had been lying to me for a long time. This wasn't something she just decided to do yesterday. This was planned. She had been planning it for weeks, maybe months. If they thought I wouldn't notice, they were wrong. If they thought I would just give up and cry, they were very wrong. I might be old, but I'm not stupid. I've lived a long life. I've seen people like Marcus before. Men who smile and act nice but only care about money. And I've dealt with them before too. When Sarah's father left us, everyone thought I would fall apart. They thought I couldn't take care of a child by myself. They were wrong then and Sarah was wrong now. The picture of Sarah wearing my bracelet stayed in my mind all day. I couldn't stop thinking about it. She looked happy in the photo. Not worried. Not guilty. Just happy. Like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just stolen everything from her own mother. I decided I wasn't going to call her. I wasn't going to send her messages. I wasn't going to let her know that I knew. Instead, I was going to find out exactly what they did and where they went. I opened my computer again. This time I looked more carefully at Emma's pictures. There were several photos from different days. In one of them, Sarah and Marcus were standing in front of a gas station. I could see the name of the station in the background. Route 40 Gas and Go. I searched for it on the computer. There were 3 gas stations with that name in 3 different towns. All of them far away from here. So they were traveling, moving around, probably using my money to pay for gas and food and hotels. Kept looking. Another friend had posted an old photo from 2 months ago. Sarah and Marcus at a diner. The sign in the window said Betty's Diner. I searched for that too. Betty's Diner was in a town called Millbrook, 4 hours away from here. I wrote down the name of the town in my notebook. Then I kept searching. Every picture I found, I studied it carefully. Looking at the background. Looking at what they were wearing. Looking for any clue about where they were or where they were going. It took me 3 hours, but I found 5 different locations where they had been spotted. They were leaving a trail. They just didn't know anyone was following it. Most people would have given up by now. Most people would have called the police and hoped for the best. But I wasn't most people. Finally called the bank. I tried to sound calm even though my heart was beating fast. I told them I needed to see every transaction from the past month. Every time money was taken out. Every time money was moved. Where and when. The lady on the phone asked why I needed all this information. I told her I thought someone had stolen from me. She put me on hold. I waited for 10 minutes. Finally, a man got on the phone. He said he was a manager. He asked me questions about my account. Name. My address. My birthday. Then he said he would send me all the information by email. It would take a few hours. I thanked him and hung up. Then I sat and waited. Waiting was hard. But I had waited for things before. I had waited for Sarah's father to come home when he said he would. He never did. I had waited for Sarah to call me back when she said she would. She didn't do that either. I was good at waiting. The email from the bank finally came. I opened it on my computer. There were pages and pages of transactions. My eyes went down the list. Money taken out here. Money taken out there. Small amounts. Never big enough to make the bank suspicious. $200 from an ATM in Riverside. $300 from an ATM in Fairview. $400 from a bank in Lakewood. They were smart about it. Taking small amounts from different places. Hoping nobody would notice. But I noticed. I noticed everything. I printed out all the pages and spread them on my kitchen table. Then I got a map from my drawer. An old paper map, the kind people don't use anymore because everyone has phones now. But I liked paper maps. You could see everything at once. I started marking the places where money was taken. Each town got a circle on the map. When I was done marking the map, I could see a pattern. They were moving west. Each town was further west than the last one. And they were moving fast. The dates showed they weren't staying in one place for long. 1 or 2 days, then moving on. That meant they were running. People who run are scared. And scared people make mistakes. I took a picture of the map with my phone. Then I called my friend Betty. Not the diner Betty. My friend Betty who lived down the street. Betty used to work at the police station before she retired. She knew how these things worked. She answered after 2 rings. I didn't waste time with small talk. I told her everything. About Sarah. About Marcus. About the money. About the map. Betty listened without interrupting. When I was done, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Come over. We need to make a plan." Betty's house smelled like cookies. She always had cookies. We sat at her kitchen table and spread out my map and all the bank papers. Betty looked at everything carefully. She put on her reading glasses and studied the dates and locations. After a while, she tapped the map with her finger. "They're not driving everywhere," she said. "Look at the dates. It's too fast. They must be taking buses or trains between some of these towns." That made sense. I hadn't thought of that. Betty pulled out her own computer and started typing. She was looking up bus schedules and train routes. After 20 minutes, she found something. Here, she said, turning the computer so I could see. 2 bus tickets were bought with cash on this date, going from Riverside to Lakewood. The date matched one of my bank withdrawals. That was them. Had to be. Betty kept searching. She found more bus tickets, more train tickets, all bought with cash on dates that matched my bank withdrawals. They were leaving clues everywhere. They just thought nobody was looking. Betty leaned back in her chair and folded her arms. They're sloppy, she said. Sloppy means they're catchable. I felt something like hope for the first time since this morning. Maybe I could fix this. Maybe I could get my money back. Maybe I could stop them before they disappeared completely. Betty could see what I was thinking. She put her hand on mine. But you need help, she said. Real help. Professional help. This isn't something you can handle alone. He nodded. I knew she was right. I needed someone who did this kind of thing for a living. Someone who knew how criminals thought and where they went. Someone who could actually catch them. Betty made a phone call. She talked to someone quietly, and I couldn't hear what she was saying. After a few minutes, she hung up and smiled at me. I called my old friend Robert, she said. He used to be a detective. He's retired now, but he still helps people sometimes. He said he'll talk to you. Robert came to Betty's house an hour later. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He shook my hand and sat down at the table. I told him everything again. He listened carefully, taking notes in a small notebook. When I finished, he looked at my map and the bank papers. This Marcus, he said. Do you know his last name? I realized I didn't. Sarah had never told me. Robert nodded like he expected that. Does he have any tattoos or special marks? I remembered the tattoo on Marcus's neck. It was a snake. I told Robert. He wrote that down. Robert asked me more questions. When did Sarah meet Marcus? Where did they meet? Did I know any of Marcus's friends or family? I answered as best I could, but I realized I didn't know much about Marcus at all. Sarah had kept him separate from me. She never brought him to family events. Never talked about him much. That should have been a warning sign. Robert closed his notebook and looked at me seriously. I think I know who this Marcus is, he said. If he's who I think he is, he's done this before. To other people. He finds people who trust easily and uses them to get money. Then he disappears. My stomach felt sick. What happens to the people he uses? Yes. Robert's face got darker. He leaves them behind when things get dangerous. He doesn't care about them. He only cares about not getting caught. I thought about Sarah, my daughter. Was she in danger? Robert saw the worry on my face. Your daughter made bad choices, he said. But that doesn't mean she deserves to get hurt. If we can find them soon, we might be able to get her away from him before things get worse. He nodded. I was angry at Sarah. So angry. But I didn't want her to get hurt. Robert said he would make some calls. He knew people who could help. People who worked with the police. People who tracked down criminals. He told me to go home and wait. He would call me as soon as he knew something. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to do something right now. But I knew Robert was right. If I rushed in without a plan, I would only make things worse. I went home. The house felt empty and quiet. I made dinner but didn't eat much. I kept looking at my phone, waiting for Robert to call. Robert called me the next morning. I found something, he said. Marcus is wanted in 2 other states for fraud. That means lying to people and stealing their money. The police have been looking for him for months. My heart started beating faster. What about Sarah? Yes. Is she in trouble too? Robert paused. It depends. If she knowingly helped him steal, then yes. But if she didn't understand what she was doing, she might be okay. Either way, the longer she stays with him, the worse it gets. He told me that Marcus had a pattern. He would find someone, usually a woman, and convince her to help him steal money. Sometimes from banks. Sometimes from family members. Then, when the police got close, he would blame everything on the woman and run away by himself. He had done it 3 times before. We need to find them before he decides Sarah isn't useful anymore, Robert said. Robert sent me pictures on my phone. Pictures of Marcus from security cameras. In one picture he was at an ATM. In another he was at a gas station. My hand started shaking when I saw the third picture. It was Sarah standing next to Marcus at an ATM. She was smiling. She looked happy. She had no idea what she had gotten herself into. Robert called again an hour later. I talked to a friend at the police department, he said. They want to help. But they need your permission to use your bank information. It will help them track Marcus down. I said yes immediately. I would do anything to stop this. Robert told me someone from the police would call me soon. I waited by the phone. When it rang, I jumped. A woman's voice came through. She said her name was Officer Martinez. She was very nice but also very serious. Officer Martinez asked me a lot of questions. She wanted to know everything about Sarah. Everything about Marcus. Everything about the money. I told her everything I knew. She was quiet for a moment when I finished. Then she said, Mrs. Johnson, I need you to understand something. Your daughter is involved in a serious crime. Even if Marcus forced her or tricked her, she still took the money. She still ran away. The law doesn't care about excuses. My throat felt tight. Will she go to jail? Yes. That depends on what she does next, Officer Martinez said. If she cooperates with us, if she helps us catch Marcus, things will be better for her. But if she keeps running with him, it will be much worse. Understood. Sarah had a choice to make. And I had a choice too. I could try to protect her and let Marcus get away. Or I could help the police catch both of them. Officer Martinez needed more information. She asked if I had any recent pictures of Sarah. I sent her several from my phone. She asked if Sarah had any credit cards or phones that I knew about. I told her about Sarah's phone, but I didn't know the number anymore. She had changed it a few months ago. Officer Martinez said that was okay. They could find it. She asked if Sarah had any friends or family in other states. People she might run to if she got scared. Thought about it. Sarah had a cousin in Colorado named Jenny. They used to be close when they were kids. I gave Officer Martinez Jenny's information. Good, she said. We'll keep an eye on that. If Sarah contacts Jenny, we'll know. Officer Martinez told me not to contact Sarah at all. Not by phone. Not by email. Not through friends. Nothing. If Sarah knew the police were looking for her, she and Marcus might disappear completely. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Sarah. About the little girl she used to be. She loved drawing pictures of flowers. She was afraid of thunderstorms. She always wanted to sleep with the light on. Where did that little girl go? How did she become someone who would steal from her own mother? I got out of bed and went to Sarah's old room. I hadn't changed it much since she moved out. Her old stuffed animals were still on the shelf. Her books were still on the desk. I picked up a picture from her dresser. It was from her high school graduation. She was smiling so big. She looked so proud. I had been proud too. I thought she was going to do great things. I set the picture down and left the room. Crying wouldn't help anything. I needed to stay strong. I needed to focus on finding her and stopping Marcus. 2 days later, Officer Martinez called me again. We found them, she said. My heart jumped. They're in a town called Greenville. About 6 hours from you. We have officers watching them right now. Could barely breathe. What happens next? Asked. We're going to arrest Marcus, she said. But we need your help with something first. We need to make sure Sarah cooperates with us. If she runs or lies to protect Marcus, things will be very bad for her. We need her to understand that. Officer Martinez had a plan. She wanted me to call Sarah. To tell her that I knew what she did. That the police were coming. That her only chance was to tell the truth and help them catch Marcus. If the call comes from you, she might listen, Officer Martinez said. If it comes from us, she might just run. I didn't know if I could do it. Calling Sarah and telling her I knew she stole from me. Telling her the police were coming for her. But Officer Martinez was right. Sarah needed to hear it from me. She needed to understand how serious this was. I agreed to do it. Officer Martinez told me exactly what to say. She told me to stay calm, to not yell or cry, to be clear and firm. She said she would be listening to the call in case something went wrong. I dialed Sarah's number. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Rang once, 3 times. Then she answered. Mom. Her voice sounded tired, like she hadn't slept in days. I took a deep breath. Sarah, I said. We need to talk. There was silence on the other end. Then Sarah said, Mom, I've been meaning to call you. I've just been really busy with work and… Stop lying, I said. My voice was harder than I wanted it to be, but I couldn't help it. I know what you did. I know you took my money. I know you're with Marcus. And I know the police are looking for you. More silence. Then I heard her breathing, fast and scared. Mom, I can explain, she started. You don't need to explain, I said. You need to listen. Marcus is not who you think he is. He's a criminal. He's done this before. He's going to leave you to take the blame for everything. You don't understand, Sarah said. Her voice was shaking now. Marcus loves me. He's been helping me. We're going to start a new life together. My heart broke hearing her say that. She really believed it. Sarah, the police are coming, I said. They're going to arrest both of you. Your only chance is to tell them the truth. Tell them everything Marcus made you do. Made me do. Sarah's voice got louder. Nobody made me do anything. I chose this. I chose to take the money because you never gave me enough. You always acted like you were doing me a favor by helping me. Like I should be grateful. Her words hit me like a punch. I gave you everything, I said quietly. I worked 2 jobs so you could go to college. I helped you pay your rent. I was always there when you needed me. And you never let me forget it. Sarah shouted. Every time I asked for help, you made me feel like I owed you. Like I was a burden. Marcus doesn't make me feel that way. He treats me like an equal. Closed my eyes. Officer Martinez had warned me Sarah might say things like this. That criminals teach people to blame everyone but themselves. Sarah, I said. I love you. But you made a choice. And now you have to face what you did. The police will be there soon. Please just tell them the truth. Sarah was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. I can't go to jail, Mom. Please don't let them take me. Then help them catch Marcus, I said. Tell them he planned everything. Tell them he forced you to help. They'll go easier on you if you cooperate. I can't do that, she whispered. He'll be so angry. Let him be angry, I said. Sarah, he doesn't love you. He's using you. As soon as things get hard, he's going to run and leave you behind. That's what he does. I heard a man's voice in the background. Marcus, who are you talking to? He asked. Nobody, Sarah said quickly. Just my mom. Hang up, he said. His voice was cold. Not loving. Not kind. Sarah, please, I said. But the phone went dead. She had hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. My hands were still shaking. Officer Martinez called me right away. You did good, she said. You planted the seed. Even if she didn't listen now, she'll remember what you said when the police show up. Officer Martinez told me to stay home and wait. She said it might take a few hours, but they would call me as soon as something happened. I tried to watch TV but couldn't focus. I tried to read a book but the words didn't make sense. I just kept thinking about Sarah. About the phone call. About how angry she sounded. She really believed I was the bad guy. She really thought Marcus was the good guy. How could she be so blind? I thought about all the things I could have done differently. Should I have said no when she asked for money? Should I have met Marcus earlier and seen what kind of person he was? Should I have been stricter with her when she was growing up? But thinking about the past didn't help. The only thing that mattered was what happened next. My phone rang. It was Officer Martinez. We got him, she said. Marcus is in custody. We arrested him an hour ago at a motel in Greenville. I felt relief wash over me. What about Sarah? I asked. She's here too, Officer Martinez said. She's not under arrest yet, but we're questioning her. She's very upset. She keeps asking for you. My stomach twisted. Does she want to talk to me? Not exactly, Officer Martinez said. She's angry. She's blaming you for everything. But that's normal. People often lash out at the ones they love when they're caught doing something wrong. Officer Martinez told me more about what happened. The police had watched Marcus and Sarah at the motel for 2 hours. When Marcus went outside to buy food, they arrested him. Sarah was inside the room. When the police went in, she tried to run but they stopped her. She didn't have any money on her. Marcus had taken it all. What happens now? I asked. Officer Martinez explained that Marcus would be charged with multiple crimes. Fraud. Identity theft. He would go to prison for a long time. Sarah's situation was more complicated. She had helped steal the money, so she broke the law too. But because I was her mother, I had some say in what happened to her. You can press charges against her, Officer Martinez said. Which means she would face criminal charges and possibly go to jail. Or you can choose not to press charges. In that case, she would still have to pay back the money and do community service. But she wouldn't have a criminal record. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted Sarah to face real consequences for what she did. But another part of me, the mother part, didn't want to be the reason my daughter went to jail. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course, Officer Martinez said. Take your time. We'll hold her for 24 hours while you decide. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time. The house was quiet except for the sound of the clock ticking on the wall. What should I do? If I pressed charges, Sarah would never forgive me. Our relationship would be over forever. But if I didn't press charges, would she learn her lesson? Would she understand how serious this was? Or would she just think she got away with it? I thought about calling Betty, but I knew she would tell me to press charges. Betty believed in tough love. I thought about calling Robert, but I knew he would say the same thing. This was a decision only I could make. I decided to sleep on it. Sometimes decisions are clearer after a good night's sleep. But I didn't sleep much that night. I kept having dreams about Sarah. In one dream, she was little again, maybe 5 years old, and she was crying because she fell and scraped her knee. I picked her up and held her and told her everything would be okay. In another dream, she was older, maybe 16, and she was yelling at me because I wouldn't let her go to a party. She said I was the worst mother ever and ran to her room. I woke up before sunrise. My decision was made. I called Officer Martinez as soon as the sun came up. I'm not pressing charges, I said. But I have conditions. Officer Martinez listened as I explained what I wanted. Sarah had to pay back every dollar she took. She had to do community service. And she had to go to therapy to figure out why she made such bad choices. I can make that happen, Officer Martinez said. But you should know, Sarah is still facing federal charges because Marcus was operating across state lines. I can't control that part. Understood. The federal government didn't care about my feelings. They just cared about punishing criminals. Officer Martinez said I could come to Greenville if I wanted to see Sarah. But she warned me that Sarah probably wouldn't want to see me. She's still very angry, Officer Martinez said. She's not ready to admit she was wrong. I decided to go anyway. I needed to see her with my own eyes. I needed to know she was okay. The drive to Greenville took 6 hours. I left early in the morning and drove through small towns and farmland. The sky was gray and it looked like it might rain. When I got to the police station, Officer Martinez met me at the door. She was younger than I expected, maybe in her 30s, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Officer Martinez led me to a small room with a table and 2 chairs. Sarah is in the next room, she said. I'll bring her in. But remember, she might say things that hurt. Try not to take it personally. I nodded, but my heart was already beating fast. The door opened and Sarah walked in. She looked terrible. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were red from crying. She was wearing the same clothes from the phone call days ago. When she saw me, her face got hard. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I came to see if you were okay," I said quietly. "I'm not okay," she snapped. "I'm in jail because of you." I took a deep breath. "You're in jail because you stole money, Sarah. Not because of me." She sat down across from me and crossed her arms. "You never understood me. You never understood what I needed. I gave you everything I had," I said. My voice was shaking, but I tried to stay calm. "I worked every day to make sure you had food and clothes and a home. I never asked you for anything back." Sarah looked away. "You made me feel small. Every time I needed help, you acted like I was bothering you." That wasn't true. At least I didn't think it was true. Had I really made her feel that way? Or was this what Marcus had taught her to say? "I'm sorry if I made you feel that way," I said. "But that doesn't give you the right to steal from me. That doesn't make what you did okay." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Marcus said you would never understand. He said you would turn on me. And he was right." I leaned forward. "Sarah, Marcus is a criminal. He's done this to other people before. He used you to get money, and when the police came, where was he? Did he protect you? Did he take the blame? Well, he let you take the fall." Sarah wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "You don't know him like I do." "I know enough," I said. "I know he convinced you to steal from your own mother. I know he's been arrested before. I know he has other girlfriends in other states who he did the same thing to." Sarah's face changed. Just for a second I saw doubt in her eyes. "That's not true," she said, but her voice wasn't as strong as before. "Officer Martinez can show you the files," I said. "Marcus has done this 3 times before. He finds someone who trusts him. He gets them to help him steal money. Then when things get hard, he disappears and lets them go to jail." Sarah was quiet now. The anger was starting to fade, and I could see fear replacing it. "I loved him," she whispered. "I thought he loved me too." My heart broke for her. "I know, sweetheart. I know." We sat in silence for a while. Then Sarah looked up at me. "What's going to happen to me?" "That depends on you," I said. "If you tell the police everything Marcus did, they might go easier on you. But if you protect him, you'll take all the blame." Sarah put her face in her hands. "I'm so scared, Mom." For the first time since I'd walked in, she sounded like my daughter again. Not angry, not defiant, just scared. "I know," I said. "But you have to face this. You have to tell the truth." Sarah nodded slowly. "Okay. I'll tell them everything." Officer Martinez came back into the room. Sarah told her she was ready to talk. Officer Martinez looked at me. "You should probably wait outside for this part." I stood up. Before I left, I looked at Sarah one more time. "I'm not pressing charges against you," I said. "But you still have to pay back the money and do community service. And you have to get help." Sarah looked surprised. "You're not sending me to jail." "No," I said. "But this is your last chance. If you ever do something like this again, I won't be there to save you." Sarah nodded. Tears were running down her face. "Thank you, Mom." "Sorry." "I'm so sorry." I wanted to hug her, but Officer Martinez shook her head slightly. "Not yet. Not until Sarah had told them everything." I walked out of the room and sat in the waiting area. Took 3 hours. 3 long hours of sitting on an uncomfortable plastic chair, drinking bad coffee from a machine, and wondering what Sarah was saying in that room. Finally, Officer Martinez came out. "She told us everything," she said. "Marcus planned the whole thing. He told her it would be easy money and they could start a new life. She didn't realize how serious it was until it was too late." I felt a tiny bit of relief. "So she's not going to jail?" "Not for the state charges," Officer Martinez said. "But the federal investigation is still ongoing. She'll probably have to testify against Marcus when his trial happens." He nodded. "That was better than nothing. Can I see her again?" "She's pretty exhausted," Officer Martinez said. But I'll ask. A few minutes later, Officer Martinez came back and led me to a different room. Sarah was sitting on a bench, looking small and tired. When she saw me, she stood up. "Mom," she said. And then she started crying. Really crying. Not angry crying. Sad crying. I walked over and put my arms around her. She hugged me back tightly. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. "I'm so sorry." "I know," I said. "I know you are." We stood there for a long time just holding each other. Finally, Officer Martinez said Sarah needed to go back to her cell. They were going to keep her overnight and then release her in the morning. I would have to come back to pick her up. "I'll be here," I promised Sarah. The drive home was long and dark. It was raining now, and the windshield wipers made a steady sound as I drove. I thought about everything that had happened. 2 weeks ago, my life had fallen apart. My daughter had stolen everything from me and disappeared. I had been so angry, so hurt. But I hadn't fallen apart. I had been strong. I had made calls. I had made plans. I had tracked her down. And now Marcus was in jail where he belonged. And Sarah was safe, even if she didn't realize it yet. When I got home, the house felt different. Less empty. I knew Sarah would be coming back tomorrow. Not to stay permanently, but at least to talk. At least to start fixing what she had broken. I made myself a cup of tea and sat at the kitchen table. Whiskers jumped into my lap and purred. "We did it," I told the cat. "We got her back." The next morning I drove back to Greenville. This time the sky was clear and blue. Sarah was waiting for me at the police station. She looked better. She had showered and changed into clean clothes that Officer Martinez had gotten for her. We didn't talk much on the drive home. Sarah stared out the window, watching the trees and houses go by. Finally she said, "I don't know how to make this right." "You start by paying back what you took," I said. "And you keep going to therapy. And you make better choices from now on." "What if I mess up again?" she asked quietly. I glanced at her. "Then you'll have to fix it yourself. I love you, Sarah. But I can't keep saving you from your own mistakes." She nodded. "I understand." When we got home, Sarah went straight to her old room and closed the door. I let her have her space. She needed time to think. Time to process everything that had happened. Over the next few weeks, things slowly started to get better. Sarah got a job at a grocery store. It didn't pay much, but it was honest work. She used every paycheck to pay me back. It would take years to pay back everything she took, but she was trying. That meant something. She also started seeing a therapist twice a week. Dr. Patel was a kind woman who specialized in helping people who had made bad choices. Sarah didn't talk to me much about the sessions, but I could see small changes in her. She was more honest, more responsible, more like the daughter I used to know. Marcus went to trial 3 months later. Sarah had to testify. It was hard for her. She had to stand in front of a courtroom and tell everyone what he had made her do. But she did it. And because she cooperated, the judge decided not to press charges against her for the federal crimes. Marcus got 15 years in prison. When Sarah came home after the trial, she looked exhausted but relieved. "It's over," she said. "It's finally over." We sat together in the living room. Whiskers jumped on the couch between us. "How do you feel?" I asked. Sarah thought about it. "Empty. But also free. Does that make sense?" "It does," I said. She looked at me. "I know I can never make up for what I did. But I want you to know I'm going to try. Every day for the rest of my life, I'm going to try to be better." "That's all I can ask for," I said. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. It wasn't perfect. Our relationship wasn't magically fixed. But it was a start. Sarah was learning that actions have consequences. She was learning that love isn't about money. And she was learning that sometimes the people who love you most are the ones who hold you accountable. 6 months later, Sarah moved into her own apartment again. This time she paid for it with her own money. I helped her move in, carrying boxes and hanging pictures on the walls. Her apartment was small but clean. She had decorated it simply. No expensive things. Just the basics. I like it, I told her. It feels like home. Sarah smiled. It was the first real smile I'd seen from her in a long time. Thanks, Mom. For everything. You did the hard work, I said. I just gave you a chance. Before I left, Sarah gave me an envelope. What's this? I asked. Open it, she said. Inside was a check. It was for $500. I know it's not everything I owe you, Sarah said. But it's a start. And I'll keep paying you back until every penny is returned. I looked at the check, then at my daughter. I'm proud of you, I said. And I meant it. Life slowly returned to normal. I went back to my routines. Morning coffee. Feeding Whiskers. Watching the birds in my backyard. But things were different now. I was different. I had learned that I was stronger than I thought. That I could handle hard things. That I didn't have to accept betrayal just because it came from someone I loved. Sarah and I had dinner together once a week. Sometimes at my house. Sometimes at hers. We didn't talk about Marcus or the money unless she brought it up. Mostly we talked about normal things. Her job. My garden. The weather. One night, over spaghetti at my house, Sarah said, I saw Marcus's picture in the newspaper. They did a story about his trial. I didn't say anything. He looked so different, she continued. Not handsome anymore. Just mean. I don't know what I ever saw in him. You saw what he wanted you to see, I said gently. That's what people like him do. Sarah nodded. I'm dating someone new, she said suddenly. My heart jumped. Oh. His name is David. He works at the library. He's nice. Quiet. Nothing like Marcus. He paused. Would you like to meet him? Thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no. I didn't want to watch Sarah fall for someone who would hurt her again. But another part of me knew she had to learn to trust people again. And I had to learn to trust her judgment. I'd like that, I said. The following Sunday, Sarah brought David to my house for lunch. He was exactly as she described. Quiet. Polite. He had kind eyes and shook my hand firmly. During lunch, I watched how he treated Sarah. He listened when she talked. He didn't interrupt her or talk over her. When she dropped her fork, he picked it up for her without making a big deal about it. After they left, I called Betty. She brought a boy home, I told her. And I think this one might be okay. A year passed. Then two. Sarah continued paying me back little by little. She got promoted at the grocery store and became a manager. She and David got serious. He proposed to her on Christmas Eve and she said yes. When she called to tell me, she was crying happy tears. Will you help me plan the wedding? She asked. Of course, I said. Planning the wedding was strange. It reminded me of all the things we'd missed in the years when we weren't speaking. All the moments that had been stolen by Marcus and bad choices. But it also felt like a new beginning. Sarah wanted a small wedding. Just close friends and family. She didn't want anything fancy or expensive. I want it to be real, she told me. No pretending. No showing off. Just love. The wedding was beautiful. Simple but beautiful. Sarah wore a white dress that she bought on sale. David wore a suit his father had given him. They said their vows in a garden, surrounded by flowers and sunshine. I cried during the ceremony. Not sad tears. Happy tears. Sarah had come so far. She had made terrible mistakes, but she had learned from them. She had become a better person. After the ceremony, Sarah pulled me aside. Thank you, Mom, she said. For not giving up on me. For holding me accountable. For loving me even when I didn't deserve it. I hugged her tightly. You always deserved love, Sarah. You just had to learn how to accept it the right way. She smiled through her tears. I'm still paying you back. I haven't forgotten. I know, I said. But take your time. Focus on your new life with David. The money can wait. Sarah shook her head. No, I made a promise. I'm going to keep it. Even if it takes the rest of my life. And she did. Every month without fail, Sarah sent me money. Sometimes it was $50. Sometimes it was $200. She never missed a payment. Never made an excuse. 3 years after the wedding, Sarah and David had a baby. A little girl named Emma. When Sarah called to tell me I was going to be a grandmother, I cried again. Happy tears seemed to be a regular thing now. I went to the hospital the day Emma was born. She was tiny and perfect, with dark hair and Sarah's nose. Sarah looked exhausted but glowing as she held her daughter. "Do you want to hold her?" Sarah asked. I took Emma carefully, supporting her tiny head. She made a small sound and opened her eyes. "Hello, Emma," I whispered. "I'm your grandma." Sarah watched us with tears in her eyes. "I'm going to be a better mother than I was a daughter," she said. "You were never a bad daughter," I said. "You just lost your way for a while. But you found it again." Sarah smiled. "Thanks to you. Being a grandmother changed everything." I visited Sarah and David every week to help with Emma. I changed diapers and sang lullabies and rocked her to sleep. Watching Sarah with Emma was beautiful. She was patient and gentle and loving. Everything a mother should be. One day, while Sarah was feeding Emma, she said, "I think about what I did to you sometimes. About the money. About running away with Marcus. I still can't believe I did that." "You were lost," I said. "But you're not lost anymore." "How did you forgive me?" she asked. Thought about it. I didn't forgive you right away. Took time. But I realized that holding on to anger was only hurting me. And I loved you too much to let anger win. Sarah wiped her eyes with one hand while holding Emma with the other. "I'm almost done paying you back. Just a few more months." "I know," I said. "But even if you never paid me back, I would have forgiven you eventually. Because that's what mothers do." 4 years after everything happened, Sarah made her final payment. She came to my house on a Saturday morning with Emma and David. Emma was walking now, toddling around my living room and babbling in her own language. Sarah handed me an envelope. "This is it," she said. "The last payment. I paid back every dollar I took from you. With interest." I opened the envelope. Inside was a check and a letter. The letter was handwritten on nice paper. "Dear Mom," it began. "I can never truly repay you for what I took. Not just the money but the trust, peace of mind, the years we lost. But I hope this final payment closes that chapter of our lives. I hope we can move forward as mother and daughter, not as creditor and debtor. Love you. Sorry. And I will spend the rest of my life being the daughter you deserve. Love, Sarah." I folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. Then I tore up the check. Sarah's eyes went wide. "Mom, what are you doing?" "I don't want your money," I said. "What? But I owe you." "You don't owe me anything anymore," I said. "You've paid me back in ways that matter more than money. You've become responsible, honest, a good mother. That's worth more than any check." Sarah started crying. "But you worked so hard for that money. And I stole it. And you worked hard to pay it back," I said. "You've learned your lesson. Now I want you to take this money and put it in a savings account for Emma. For her future." Sarah hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you so much." David came over and hugged both of us. Emma toddled over and grabbed my leg, wanting attention. I picked her up and kissed her cheek. This was what mattered. Not money. Not revenge. Family. Love. Forgiveness. The years continued to pass. Emma grew bigger. Sarah and David bought a house. I retired from my job and spent my days gardening and babysitting Emma. Sometimes I thought about those dark days when I first discovered my empty bank account. How angry and hurt I had been. How I had wanted revenge. I was glad I hadn't acted on that anger. I was glad I had been patient and smart. Because if I had just yelled and screamed and cut Sarah out of my life, I would have lost her forever. I would have never known my granddaughter. I would have missed all these beautiful moments. One afternoon, while Emma and I were making cookies in my kitchen, she looked up at me with flour on her nose. "Grandma, Mommy says you saved her life. What does that mean?" I thought about how to explain it in a way a little girl would understand. It means that when your mommy made a big mistake, I helped her fix it. What kind of mistake? Emma asked. A very big one, I said. But the important thing is that she learned from it and became better. Emma nodded seriously like she understood completely. If I make a big mistake, will you help me fix it too? Smiled. I'll always help you, Emma. But I'll also make sure you learn from your mistakes. Because that's what grandmas do. Emma hugged my leg. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweetheart. Later that evening, after Emma went home, I sat on my porch with a cup of tea. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, Chase, the arrest, the forgiveness. It had been a long, hard journey. But we had made it through. Sarah had made it through. And now we were stronger than ever. I never heard from Marcus again after the trial. I didn't care to. As far as I was concerned, he was a bad chapter that was closed forever. Robert, the detective who had helped me, became a good friend. He stopped by occasionally to check on me and have coffee. Betty remained my closest friend. We still had coffee every Tuesday and talked about everything and nothing. Officer Martinez sent me a Christmas card every year. She had moved to a different city but still remembered the case. She wrote that she was glad things had worked out for Sarah and me. Life was good. Quiet but good. I had learned that being underestimated was sometimes a gift. People thought I was just an old lady who didn't understand the world. But I understood more than they knew. I understood how to be patient, how to plan, how to fight for the people I loved, even when they didn't deserve it. One day, I got a call from a woman I didn't know. Her name was Patricia. She said she had gotten my number from Officer Martinez. My daughter stole money from me, Patricia said, her voice shaking. She ran away with her boyfriend. I don't know what to do. Officer Martinez said you went through something similar and might be able to help. I invited Patricia to my house. She came that afternoon, a woman about my age with tired eyes and trembling hands. I made her tea and listened to her story. It was painfully familiar. Her daughter had met a man. The man had convinced her to take money. They had disappeared. Patricia felt lost and alone. What did you do? She asked me. How did you find your daughter? I told her everything. About making calls. About tracking bank statements. About working with the police. About staying calm and thinking clearly even when I wanted to scream. But most importantly, I said, I never gave up. Even when it looked hopeless. Patricia wiped her eyes. Do you think there's hope for my daughter? There's always hope, I said. But you have to be strong. You have to be smart. And you have to be willing to let her face consequences. I gave Patricia Officer Martinez's direct number and Robert's number. I told her exactly what to do and what not to do. By the time she left my house, she looked different. Still worried but determined. Few months later, Patricia called me again. We found her, she said. Your advice worked. My daughter is safe. The boyfriend is in jail. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad I could help, I said. After we hung up, I realized something. My experience, as painful as it had been, had purpose. Had taught me things I could share with others. Had made me stronger. It had given me wisdom that could help people like Patricia. I started volunteering with a group that helped families dealing with financial fraud. I talked to parents whose children had stolen from them. I talked to elderly people who had been scammed by people they trusted. I shared my story over and over again. And every time I shared it, I saw hope light up in someone's eyes. They realized they weren't alone. They realized they could fight back. They realized they could be strong. Sarah was proud of me. Look at you, Mom, she said one day. Turning something terrible into something good. That's what we do, I said. We take our pain and use it to help others. Sarah nodded. I want to do that too. Maybe I can talk to young women about not falling for guys like Marcus. About recognizing red flags. I think that's a wonderful idea, I said. And she did. Sarah started speaking at community centers and schools. She told her story honestly, not hiding the mistakes she had made. She warned young women about men who isolate them from their families. Together, Sarah and I became a team again. But this time, instead of me saving her, we were saving others together. Felt good. Felt right. 5 years after everything happened, I was invited to speak at a conference about financial fraud. There were hundreds of people in the audience. Victims of fraud. Police officers. Social workers. I stood at the podium, nervous at first. But then I saw Sarah in the front row, holding Emma's hand. David sat next to them, smiling at me. I took a deep breath and began. 5 years ago, my daughter emptied my savings account and vanished with her criminal boyfriend. I could have given up. I could have accepted the loss and moved on. But I didn't. Fought back. And today, I'm here to tell you that you can fight back too. The audience clapped. I told my story from beginning to end. The discovery, the investigation, the arrest, the forgiveness, the healing. When I finished, people stood up and applauded. After the conference, people came up to me with their own stories. A man whose son had stolen his retirement money. A woman whose sister had forged her signature on loans. A young person whose partner had maxed out their credit cards. I listened to each one. I offered advice where I could. I gave them hope where they needed it. On the drive home, Sarah said, "You were amazing, Mom. You gave all those people hope." "We gave them hope," I corrected. "We're in this together." Emma, now 5 years old, piped up from the back seat. "Grandma, when I grow up, I want to help people like you do." My heart swelled. "That's a beautiful goal, Emma." That night, lying in bed, I thought about how much my life had changed. 5 years ago, I had been devastated, betrayed, broken. But I had rebuilt myself. I had become stronger, wiser, more compassionate. The money I had lost meant nothing now. It was just paper. What mattered was the relationships I had rebuilt, the lives I had touched, the purpose I had found. I realized something important that night. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us become the best things about us. They shape us. They teach us. They prepare us to help others who are going through the same pain. My story didn't end with revenge or anger. It ended with forgiveness and purpose. And that was worth more than any amount of money. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Sarah. "Mom, Emma wants to have breakfast with you this morning. Just the two of you. She says she has important things to discuss with her grandma." Smiled. Important things to a 5-year-old probably meant which princess was the best or whether chocolate or vanilla was better. But to me it meant everything. It meant I had a relationship with my granddaughter. It meant Sarah trusted me with her daughter. It meant we had healed. I got dressed and drove to Sarah's house. Emma was waiting at the door in her pajamas, bouncing excitedly. We went to a little diner down the street. Emma ordered pancakes with strawberries. I ordered toast and coffee. "So what important things did you want to discuss?" "Yes." Emma got very serious. "Grandma, I need to tell you something." "Okay, I'm listening." "I broke Mommy's favorite cup yesterday. I was trying to get it from the cupboard by myself, and it fell." She looked down at her pancakes. "I'm scared Mommy will be mad." I reached across the table and held her small hand. "Did you tell your mommy what happened?" Emma shook her head. "I hid the pieces in the trash." "Emma, mistakes happen. Everyone makes them. But you know what makes a mistake worse?" She looked up at me with big eyes. "What?" "Hiding it. When we make mistakes, we have to be brave and tell the truth. Then we can fix it together." Emma thought about this. "Will Mommy be mad?" "She might be disappointed that you tried to get the cup by yourself when you knew you weren't tall enough. But she'll be proud that you told the truth." We finished our breakfast and I drove Emma back home. She ran inside and found Sarah in the kitchen. "Mommy, I need to tell you something." I watched as Emma confessed about the broken cup. Sarah listened carefully. When Emma finished, Sarah knelt down to her level. "Thank you for telling me the truth, Emma. That was very brave. Next time, ask for help instead of trying to do it alone, okay?" Emma nodded, relieved. "Okay, Mommy. I'm sorry." Sarah hugged her. "I forgive you." I smiled watching them. The cycle had been broken. Sarah had learned from her mistakes, and now she was teaching Emma to be honest and brave. As I drove home that afternoon, I felt complete peace. My life hadn't turned out the way I planned. There had been pain and betrayal and heartbreak, but there had also been forgiveness and growth and redemption. And in the end, that was the greatest gift of all. Not a perfect life, but a real one, full of love, mistakes, second chances, and hope. And that was worth everything.